President Trump says author E. Jean Carroll is, quote, totally lying about her claim that he sexually assaulted her in a dressing room at a high-end New York City department store in the mid-1990s. In a new interview with The Hill, the president says, quote, I'll say it with great respect. Number one, she's not my type. Number two, it never happened. It never happened, okay? So same old line that we've heard before, but maybe this is a different time. Joining us now is Ana Navarro, CNN political commentator, Margaret Hoover, CNN political commentator and host of Firing Line on PBS, and Nancy Erika Smith. She's an attorney and represented Gretchen Carlson and her harassment lawsuit against former Fox News CEO Roger Ailes. Great to have all of you for this important discussion. Yes, we've had it before, but maybe it's a new era, and we will get into that. So first, Nancy, I want to start with you. If a defendant says who's accused of rape at a trial, she's not my type. Yeah. Is that a good defense?
No, that's a disgusting defense. And I love that he precedes it with respect. She's not attractive enough to rape.
That's what he's saying.
With respect. That's the opposite of respect. She's not attractive enough to rape. It shows the core sexism that he can't even stop himself.
And, you know, Margaret, I'm struck by, yes, of course, we've become somewhat numb to these accusations. During the 2016 campaign, there were at least 15 women who came forward with some story of sexual assault or sexual misconduct. But this goes further. What E. Jean Carroll describes, regardless of what she wants to call it, is the legal definition of rape. What she says happened, and it was violent, how she describes it. In fact, let me just play a portion for people who've missed it. Let me play a portion of what she says happened in that dressing room. So listen to this.
The minute he closed that door, I was banged up against the wall. The thing is, it shocked me. For a moment, I was stunned, right? And then he tried to kiss me, which was, it was so hard, so my reaction was to laugh, to knock off the erotic whatever he had going on, because the man, when you laugh at him, he's like, no, you know, he just went at it.
To me, the fact that what she describes is legally a rape puts it in a different category than what we've heard before. Am I wrong?
It is certainly a more serious offense. It is a more serious violation of a woman and the sovereignty she has over her body, for sure. There's just nothing to excuse this. This is not excusable. You can look at her, you can determine whether you think she's credible or not. We all have done this a lot over the last 2 years. And this woman seems to me, as a woman, you know, as a Republican, the politics don't even matter, because it's about a woman being violated. How this plays out in the news is entirely different. And that's maybe what the next layer of this and how we talk about, because there does seem to be a level of political immunity that is granted to the President of the United States. And it's not just this time.
And Anna, I mean, it's been described as a numbness. Is that what you think is going on?
I do. You know, and I think the barrage of indecency coming out of that Oval Office and that White House is such that he has exhausted the ability of Americans to be outraged. And I think he is counting on that. And it is a very dangerous place for America to go. We cannot get numb. We cannot get used to the fact. We cannot just shrug our shoulders and say, that's Trump being Trump, and we've heard this before. We've heard these exact lines before. We cannot get normal. We cannot make normal what is not normal. The lies, the bullying, the attacks on the press, the sexual harassment allegations, now the rape allegation. This is not normal from the White House, from a president of the United States. And also, you know, Allison, in 2016, Democrats nominated a candidate who was burdened and saddled by the actions of her husband and sat there silently while Donald Trump, who had been accused, as you just said, by 15 women, showed up with the women that Bill Clinton had been accused by. Well, I hope that this time somebody does bring it up, because decency does matter. Character does matter. Having somebody in the Oval Office with a moral compass does matter, and he should not be able to get off scot-free from it just because people are used to it. We should refuse as Americans to be used to this.
Nancy, there's a crazy paradox that's happening right now, which is that the media or the viewers get more numb upon hearing each story. But in court, legally, if you brought in 15 women who all describe the same MO of the same defendant, wouldn't that be more effective
The most effective thing is his own words. Rarely do I have a case where the perpetrator of sexual violence or sexual harassment is on tape admitting sexual violence and sexual harassment.
Describing his MO.
Describing exactly what is being described by these women. You never get, that's called direct evidence. You win. He admits it. And for some reason, there's a cult that Fox News has actually cultivated. The loudest voice in the room was just coming out, and it showed it last night at the premiere.
Showtime series about Fox that went under Roger Ailes' reign.
And it shows how he actually planned to speak to people's grievances and feeling of other, and feeling like the great old days of the white male macho world are fading, and we have to bring it back, whether it's true or not. And that's what he's done. He literally has a cult of people who you can't talk to about reality. It's very scary.
You know, it used to be that hypocrisy was the unforgivable sin in politics. And now it's like you can't play politics unless you are a hypocrite by design. And I just, as we talk about, you know, I said this isn't the first time a president has been immune from these kind of accusations. And conservatives rallied behind Juanita Broaddrick, who made very similar accusations against President Clinton. And they rallied behind her in the 1990s, and they rallied behind her in 2016. And we have now found, I mean, where is Steve Bannon, right? Where are all of the men who brought forward those women as political props? Do they believe that this woman, who has the same allegations, is equally as credible? We also found out, as you were talking about Fox News, that the New York Post spiked the story about this woman and her credible accusations against the president because of the politics.
Right. They asked me to be on Fox News today to talk about my client, Meredith Watson, who's accused a Democratic lieutenant governor of rape months ago. Why today? Because let's talk about a Democrat who's doing.
That's fascinating.
When Margaret and I were growing up in the Republican Party, one of the legs of the conservative stool was conservative values, was Christian values, was family values, was social values. And we have seen that be turned on its head. We have seen people who are supposedly representatives and leaders of the evangelical movement, of the Christian right, embrace a president who we see time and time and time again represents everything that is against social values and family values and Christian values.
Okay, so coming up, we're going to talk about whether 2019 is different than 2016. Much more from our panel next.